Welcome Bitcoin friends, it's Bitcoin Mamo. Today we're going to look at the Bitcoin charts, do some TA. We'll look at the daily, the weekly, the 2-week. We'll also look at the futures chart. And we'll look at the golden cross that is up and coming on the EMAs on the daily. And we'll also look at projected dates when that might cross, and also when the regular moving average on the daily, the 50 and the 200 might cross. So if that sounds interesting, stay tuned and let's get into the charts. So the intro there basically showed how I set up the chart. And we can see these supply and demand boxes here. These are drawn on the 2-week chart. And we can see Bitcoin's been trending upwards since that pump from 29,000. And we've been in this channel here with the yellow lines. And we can notice it is respecting the Fibonacci retracement from the overall peak down to the low here at 28.7. We can see we came up to the 382 level, got rejected, came back down to the 236, came up to the 0.5, and possible we could come down to the 382 at around 42.5. Now last week we were around here on this red candle. Looked like we were going to have a pullback, and I was looking for levels around here at 40,600 where we had these lines crossing. But I did say that is a target I'd be looking for if we didn't get support off of this white trend line here connecting the tops here. And we did come down here, we did get support, and we had this massive pump back up. So there's a lot of strength with the bulls at the moment, and this is just a possible projection here. We might come back to the 0.382 level here and possibly go to that golden pocket area. So you can see Bitcoin did come up into this blue box here that I have drawn, and we did come back down here. We do have this new daily supply demand zone box here because of this red candle in an uptrend. We did come down and pretty much hit right on the top of it, and we have gotten this nice bounce so far back into 45.5 range. So if this blue box can hold here, we might make a try to the upside of the box. And again, these zigzag lines are just a projection that I think might happen. But we could break this channel here and get above it, and things could get quite bullish there. And I would aim for that 0.618 level if we do get above this yellow trend line. Looking at the RSI here, we are still making a lower low at the moment. So there is still possible bearish divergence here. We would need to close below the body of this previous candle on the daily, which is at around 43.8, to confirm that bearish divergence. But at the moment looks like the bulls are fighting back, and we still do have a chance to make a higher high on the RSI. We did see the stochastic RSI starting to curl around here, so it might take a couple of days to play out here. We'll have to see how Bitcoin closes the day. We do have support here with this daily EMA ribbon if we were to drop down. Currently it's at 40,500, and over the next few days we'll see this start climbing up here and come up to this 0.382 level. I do think this ribbon will support the price as it did on this previous pullback. We usually get a few bounces off this ribbon when we're bullish like this. We also do have a little bit of support here on the volume profile around 43.5, and we have that major support further down if we were to break lower. Looking at the 12-hour RSI here, we are still making a lower high, so that bearish divergence is still possible here. We see the stochastic RSI is quite toppy here and could possibly start coming down, although we did stay up here for quite a while on the previous occasion. The 6-hour is looking a bit better on the RSI here. We do have a higher high here compared to this high previously, which does line up with the previous peak. So there isn't bearish divergence on the 6-hour, and we see the stochastic RSI has cooled off quite a bit here. So that's a good sign that we're basically going sideways while this cools off and resets. The 4-hour RSI is still looking quite healthy here, and the stochastic RSI on the 4-hour has pretty much completely cooled off, which is a good sign. And on the 2-hour we can see the stochastic RSI is starting to tick up, and the 1-hour is also on its way back up here. One other thing we should pay attention to here is the 4-hour EMA ribbon. When we are very bullish, this acts as support. When we do come down to meet it, you can see we did break below it here. So the daily is a bit more reliable on the bigger pullbacks. But when we are trending like this, we can see the 4-hour EMA ribbon has acted as support on this pullback. And the pullback that we just had did bounce off the top of the EMA ribbon. Onto the Bitcoin futures chart here. We can see we had this gap in purple here, and we did just come into this box slightly. You could say it's partially filled, and that's good enough, but I think we'll have one more try at least to get more into this purple box and try to fill it a bit more. We can see we only just started coming into the resistance here on the VPVR, but most of the resistance is a bit higher towards the top of the box. So I would expect us to come up one more time at least here, try to test this resistance. The daily EMA ribbon here on futures is at around 39,000. It's a bit below what the spot price one is, but starting to accelerate on its way back up. And on futures, we see no divergence on the daily, which is a good sign for the bulls. The futures chart can be a bit more reliable than the spot chart. The weekly chart is still looking quite good here. We can see the stochastic RSI has plenty of room to come up still here. So I'm expecting us to keep going up here. Perhaps we will come up to test this golden pocket area. And we did have this blue dotted line drawn here where the volume resistance might kick in here. And we did just touch that blue line and have a bit of a pullback. But with the weekly Stokes looking like that, I think we've got a few more green candles to go here. And this weekly EMA ribbon currently at 40,500. We'll have another uptick next week, perhaps get up to around 41,000 area. And we can see we also did come to that 0.5 fib level. The 2-week chart, as you saw in the intro, just has these supply and demand zones here. And we are currently just above the bottom of it. And we're also testing this downward trend line. And we will open a new 2-week at the start of next week. So if we can open above 44.3, we would be above this trend line. And again, if we can get above this supply and demand box here, with the top of it being around 48.6, we could even make a try for the top of this box here, which starts at around 56,000. So now I just want to do a quick comparison with the 2013 cycle and what I'm noticing. And we have this fib extension here drawn from the 2017 high around 20,000 all the way down to the bear market low. And we do the extensions here, and we got that pullback at the 1.618 level, came back to the 1.272 level, come back to the 1.414 level, and we have opened a candle above it and is looking quite good here. I just want to compare that to 2013 quickly here on this mid-cycle pullback. And we did come up to that 1.618 level here using the same extension, the previous bull market high to the bear market low. And we came back to that 1.272 level. We climbed back up to the 1.414 level, and then we opened that candle above it. And we did spend time here in the middle of this range. And once we did break above that 1.618 level, the rest of the bull market really went parabolic until its peak. So just comparing these two, it seems like we are around about this spot here when looking at our current cycle. And what's interesting to note is looking at that same spot here to our current cycle, looking at the stochastic RSI down here and also the RSI level. I've got this blue dotted line just showing this level, and also the Stoke level. This is on the weekly chart. So if we do go back to the current cycle and just compare those two, what we can see is as we got above that 1.414 level currently, I've got it marked with the red line like we did in a similar spot here. We can see where the stochastic RSI is. It's at around this 64 level. The yellow line's at around the 40 level. And we can see this was a similar thing at the same point in time. The stochastic RSI was around this 40 level with the yellow line. And looking at the RSI here, we see the blue dotted line where we currently are. And at the same point, when using these fib extensions on the 2013 cycle, we see we're at a very similar point here. So I do think these are very comparable. We can see we did spend time here between these levels here before we did blast off. And looking back at the current cycle, then I think we would probably spend time between this 62,000 level and the 42.7 level for quite a while, perhaps get into this middle range at the 50,000 area and spend a bit of time here, maybe have one more pullback from that range and then come back to this 62 level. And once we break above that, I think we'll really go parabolic to end the bull market. And just looking at these potential golden crosses here, you can see the darker red line is the 200-day moving average, the darker yellow line is the 50-day moving average, and the lighter colored red and yellows are the exponential moving averages with the same values. And we can see the exponential moving averages here getting quite close to a golden cross, and the regular moving averages will take a while. But we do see the yellow 50-day moving average starting to move up a little bit faster here. So I want to look at what day potentially we're going to see a cross here on the exponential moving average. We'll also look at when we might expect a cross with the regular moving averages. So what I've done here is just put the data into Excel with all the closing prices. And then we've got the 50 moving average, the 200 moving average, the difference between them, and the same thing with the exponential moving averages. And we're just going to look at when that golden cross might happen. So we just scroll down to August here, and this was our last closing price. August 8th was at 46,265, and if we were to stay around 45,000 here just as a projected price level, what we can see is this is the difference between the regular moving averages here. They're currently about $10,000 apart. And on the other side, the difference between the exponential moving averages, we can see it's less than $1,000 apart. So if we were to stay at 45,000, we can see the difference here turns positive. That's where the golden cross would happen. And this would be on August 13th. And looking at the regular moving averages, if we were to stay at 45k for a while, of course we probably won't, we'll probably zigzag, we might go a bit higher, but just for the projection we can see the difference coming down here, and it would show it turning positive here on September 28th, but it'd be a bit easier to see on a graphical form here. So these are the regular moving averages. You can see we just got above the 200-day moving average here, and this blue line is just the if we stayed at 45,000, and what we can see is the 50-day moving average will start coming up and potentially cross here later in September. But if we do go higher up here into the 50,000 area, this will obviously cross a bit earlier, and we can keep a track on that as it gets closer to it. And just to zoom in a bit further here, we can just see what the potential moving averages might look like here. So this is the exponential moving averages, and we can see how close we are to a cross if we just stay at this 45,000 level. And just to zoom in a bit further here, we can see here where the potential cross might happen around August 13th. So just good to look at some projections there. So I think that's about it. I am trying to make these videos a little bit shorter. They have been getting quite long recently, 20-minute videos. I think people might prefer around the 10-minute mark, but I will try to get them under that 20-minute mark at least. So we just have to watch Bitcoin, and if this bounce is going to hold that we're currently having, if this 4-hour ribbon is going to support it, are we going to hold this supply and demand box, or are we going to come down further here to this 0.5 area around the 42.6 area? So we just have to watch how it plays out over the coming days, watch this daily EMA ribbon, and also keep watching this daily RSI to see if we do confirm any bearish divergence, or if we are going to make a higher high. But as I said on CME, there isn't bearish divergence, so it does give me confidence with the bulls. But we'll just have to keep watching the charts and see how it plays out over the next few days. So thanks for watching. I'm Bitcoin Mamo. I'll see you next time. Bye.